Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Hope everybody is doing well. It is time for our every other week Thursday Q&A live stream. I hope everybody is doing well. Looking at the chat, peeping at the chat. Tool album is mastered. That's great news. Paul's Boutique Classic Review would be a good idea. On God I Love You too. Little Yachty got destroyed. I feel bad. Little Yachty got destroyed by Rico Nasty. The Quesadilla album. I've already heard it. Not crazy about it. Not really seeing the hype. The dude does rap fast though. Melon Gang. Melon Gang is the only gang I belong to. Okay, only gang I belong to. Only gang I will ever join. Schoolboy track review already did happen over on the Fantano channel. Don't miss that shit, guys. It's on the Fantano channel right now. Schoolboy track review. Okay, so just looking at Plant Gang. I'm not a part of the PP Gang, Piranha Plant Gang. Not a part of PP Gang. I'm Pac-Man Gang. Okay, but not really because I'm part of the Melon Gang. All right, I'm not in the Pac-Man Gang. Smash Main is Pac-Man, bitch. Anderson .Paak is releasing a new album, I know, and that's good news. Should be a more soulful endeavor, as he describes. Looking forward to it. How do I feel about Pierce the Veil? I do not fuck with Pierce the Veil. Shout out to my ex. Shout out to my ex. I love your glasses. Thank you very much. I love them too. That's why I own them. All right, let's start getting into the questions here because I don't want to miss anybody's question. What are my thoughts on early Sid era Floyd? I don't prefer it as much as the more progressive stuff. I think records like Saucer, as far as like psychedelic rock goes, are a little by the numbers for the genre. However, I feel like the reason that is because so many psychedelic groups copied the hell out of that record. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's terrible. I don't think it's bad or anything, but I prefer the proggier era a lot more, frankly. The songs were more interesting, and I had liked the progressions better and the concepts. You have to check out Chopstar's new work on If Beale Street Could Talk soundtrack. I haven't even seen that movie, and I've been wanting to see that movie. By the way, I will put more suggestions and everything if people throw them my way in my phone. However, I did not get to the ones that you threw me a few weeks ago yet. They're still in my phone. I'm yet to comb through them. So just so you guys know, but I won't have an answer on anything anybody asked me about last week, if in case that does happen. Favorite Fugazi record is Red Medicine, I'm pretty sure. Firstly, Couch Your Chest's new album, when? He is working on tracks. I don't know when new album, I guess when he amasses enough tracks, but pretty much all the tracks that you hear on it are going to be the songs he's been releasing as singles. Maybe a few extras and some skits and stuff like that, but it's probably going to be the album. Maybe if Cal puts out this album and somebody wants to sign him, then we'll do like a new record or something like that. Also, thoughts on The Residents. Just started listening to them. Pretty cool. Yeah, they're definitely a group of important weirdos in popular music history. I'll say that much. Do I think old school MCs or underground rappers are becoming more mainstream? Also, thank you for putting me on MF Doom. I don't think MF Doom is necessarily mainstream, but the influence that he's had is mainstream. He influences a lot of mainstream artists, whether it be Tyler or Drake. But still, I don't think he's necessarily gone mainstream or anything like that. Ow! Anthony Anderson, thank you for the 20. Going to give you the 20. Ow, ow, ow! It was on the Let's Argue post, but do you agree that Rihanna is a better rapper than a lot of people? And I mean, talented people like Tyler, ASAP, her verse on Lemon was amazing. I wish she would rap more. I mean, she's certainly better than a lot of SoundCloud rappers. I think Rihanna's a better rapper than Lil Xan. I don't know if I'd necessarily take her as a rapper over Tyler. And I don't think I've, even though I do like the verses she has dropped, I don't know if I don't know if I've heard enough to put her over Rocky. You know what I mean? If you got into the trap scene, what would you choose your rap name to be? Probably Lil Melon. Lil Melon. Want to get to this one. Hey, my brother and I just released our debut album, Bummer, by Denton, and we'd love for you to hear it sometime. I will put it in my phone and try to remember to try it out. Good Sir Austin. Thank you very much. Hey, man, I'm a huge fan. Anywhere can I send you some music and get some advice or review, as I was feeling my stuff is definitely in industry quality. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I don't really do direct feedback or anything like that. However, I don't know where I would hear your stuff. I hope it's on your YouTube channel. Is it on your YouTube channel? Well, I'm looking at it right now. If it's not, upload it over there so I can hear it, because I have no other way of getting in contact with you. Hey, Anthony, do I think albums that explore darker subjects tend to be better than happier sounding albums? For example, Contra by Vampire Weekend compared to Modern Vampires of the City. No, I don't necessarily think so. I think it depends on how you go about exploring those happy themes. I think you can make a happy record, like a Kiari Pamu Pamu record, that's, as long as it's like the songs are great and the production is creative and it's memorable and, it has all the other positive characteristics that we look for in an album that might be sad. I don't think there's anything inherent about sadness that sort of gives it an edge over happy music. Really at the end of the day, production and performances and writing are all super important, way more important than whatever the mood of the album is. Like, if you have all of those things and they're great, you could make an album about being fucking confused, And I'll leave it at that. What's my opinion on suggestions of 70s, 80s Japanese city pop? Have you heard of John? I have not. However, I will be, or I already have, rather, pre-ordered that gigantic city pop compilation that Light in the Attic Records is going to be dropping later this year, which I'm super, super freaking hyper about, given how much I enjoyed the ambient music comp. I was turned on to quite a few of significant artists in the city pop scene by a dude who I met over at the 88 Rising office in New York last year. And he had a lot of cool suggestions, and he showed me some songs, and they were great, but I asked him to give me like a master list, and he never passed it my way. But I am looking forward to that comp, because it is going to be one of the first big American release compilations to sort of like, detail a lot of those major city pop singles and albums. So I'm pretty excited to learn more about the genre. Who would be in your big 5, 6, 7, 8 of thrash metal? I mean, I'm perfectly fine with like the big 4. On top of the big 4, maybe I would add like, I'd add Exodus. I would probably throw like frickin', I'd throw Vector in there, as like a newer group, because I think Vector makes amazing fucking, or, at least did. I think they're sort of in limbo right now, but I think Vector has made amazing fucking thrash music. Like Black Future is, I think like a top 10, at least a top 15 thrash album of all time. Rate my bars. Ow, Lockie Lloyd. I got more punchlines to give than Mike Tyson. And I am so ahead of my time, Einstein. That's a bad rhyme right there. Couldn't even understand my mind before he died. Square up to this MC and maybe goodbye. And that is at E for everyone. Okay, that's like a strong 4 to a light 5, man. I'm not into those bars. I'm sorry, dude. Hey, dude, hope all is well. I noticed you have a great knowledge of sound engineering qualities to music, like compression, muddy mixing, etc. Was I ever involved in producing music yourself? Outside of like hanging out with producers that I know and being in their studios and producing tracks myself and watching other tracks be produced, like that's and listening to other producers talk about how they produce their tracks. No, not really. I'm not like, I haven't taken many classes or really any major like sort of like official classes or anything like that. Just how music is technically assembled, because I review albums, greatly interests me, because I feel like understanding and knowing the process through which the album is made, at least in terms of like recording and everything, is important, because all of that does impact greatly how the album ends out sounding. Hey, Fanthony, been a fan since you guested on the Rocket Out blog and sang with Scott Stapp in a park. Those are good times, whatever happened to that channel and the dude who ran it. Sammy, unfortunately, ended up getting his blog like bought out, or rather YouTube channel bought out by Consequence of Sound. And he was doing work for them for quite a while, and then they sort of changed his YouTube channel to the Consequence of Sound YouTube channel. And, which was a part of the agreement and everything. And they had him on salary, and he was producing a lot of content for them. And then they ended up letting him go because the YouTube channel and basically all of their video ventures were not going all that well. And, it sucks. So Sammy ended up losing the channel, and, the Rocket Out blog was no more. But Sammy does run another YouTube channel now because he's currently in the midst of buffing up his education, getting another degree to become a history teacher. And he has a YouTube channel called US 101. Okay, US 101. And he has some very interesting videos on American history all over that channel. So, if you are watching, I do encourage you to go subscribe to that channel because it's pretty cool, and he's a pretty cool guy. Hey, fan, you got that one? Melon, I need hard life advice. I dated my best friend, and I can't get over her, and she just wants to be friends, but it hurts so much. What do I do? Well, you've already made your feelings known, I assume, and you've dated this person. You've basically got to let it go and understand that there are other fishes in the sea, and that compatibility as far as like romance goes is not like a, 1 in a million kind of thing. In fact, there are lots of people out there you are potentially compatible with. And depending on how open you are and how, I guess, grown of a person you are, that's only going to increase your compatibility, honestly. You need to understand that an important element of love is that the person who you have feelings for needs to love you back. And maybe the pool of people you have access to or your life is very small or limited or something like that, and it makes it difficult to kind of see past this person. But I would recommend going out there and getting some different experiences and just like exposing yourself to different friend groups and, just be outgoing and just take some risks and just try to meet some new people so you kind of expand your horizons and sort of see that there's a greater world beyond this person who you're kind of obsessed with. Other than AJJ, folk punk artists, what other folk punk artists do I like, have strong opinions on? Defiance Ohio is pretty cool. There were a couple that I was obsessed with in college. What the hell was his name? Was his name Johnny Hobo and the Freight Trains? I can't quite remember. Like, I used to listen to folk punk a lot more in college, but not so much these days, honestly. And AJJ is one of the few bands these days that I still kind of like listen to and keep up with. Yeah, pretty much. Hola, Mr. Fantano Boy, not looking for feedback per se, but I would be super psyched if you listened to the song I wrote titled Shattered. My SoundCloud is this. Okay. I'll put it in my telephone. Let me see. Sam Hyde Fantano Podcast 2.0. Fuck no, that is never happening. I'd be a fucking idiot to do that. And also, no. It would be Alex Jones HRE JRE 2.0 level hype, which I also think is stupid. If Alex Jones or anybody was talking about me and my family in the way that Alex Jones was talking about Joe's family and his personal life and all that shit, I would not have them on my podcast. Hope you can make peace with that corner of the internet. No, I have no hopes of making peace with that corner of the internet. That corner of the internet can go fuck itself. Hey, Anthony, how familiar are you with newer death metal bands like Blood Incantation, Spectral Voice? Not very much Spectral Voice. I've heard some Blood Incantation tracks, but I don't really have much to say about their stuff as it hasn't really moved me personally. I haven't reviewed any of their music, as you already know, so I haven't really heard anything that's kind of blown me away enough to kind of dive into their work. Again, I'm sort of semi-familiar with the former, but not really the latter. Although I am familiar with the band's name because I think I've seen some of their promos pop up in my inbox. I feel like some of the KSG albums should have been with the Ye album. Ye kind of felt incomplete and probably would have been a classic if KSG was added along with it. Do I agree? I don't know about any tracks off of KSG that would really fit onto Ye. because there are some tracks on there that, you know, like Fourth Dimension or the intro, that or Free, that to me sound like way too crazy for Ye, and don't really surround the mental health themes that that album does. And then the other tracks that I think of that I love off of KSG are a little bit more Kid Cudi centric, and I don't think would make sense on the album. So yeah, I mean, not that I don't think Ye could have had more material on it, but I don't really see any of the KSG material complementing that record, frankly. Just sending you this so that you acknowledge Home Shake. I think I may have before. I haven't done a full-length review, no, but I'm aware of the project. He released a new album a few weeks ago, and it's awesome, not to mention the other LPs. Don't get your beef with him, TBH. I don't have beef with him. I just don't really care for his stuff all that much. Hey, Anthony, I am Cupcake's video director, and I have an upcoming video with Slater. I would love for you to come on the show and talk about music videos. Any interest? Upcoming video, like what show? I would love to come on the show and talk about music videos. Any interest? Yeah, potentially. You know, Anthony@theneedledrop.com. That's my email. You know, hit me up. We'll see what we can do. D'Anthony Suntano, I spent years believing you were overhyping Page 99. I was so wrong. I've never heard more beautiful hardcore record than Doc 8. You should do a classic review for that shit. Maybe I should, but I mean, listen, I've whenever anybody asks me about like what screamo I like and shit, Page 99 usually comes up, and I mean, at least I don't think I've ever taken special like time to be like, yeah, man, Page 99's the greatest fucking band of all time. Like, that's not really my opinion, but I think they're a great screamo band, and you know, if you're looking to get into sort of the roots of that genre, or rather sort of like the greatest bands of that genre, Page 99 is definitely a band you want to listen to. Hopefully I'm not overhyping them or anything like that. Do I think RHCP are worse off without John Frusciante? Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say the Frusciante years are like my favorite Red Hot Chili Peppers years, but since he's gone, the band is definitely making less interesting music. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think yeah, at this point they're probably worse off. Got a Godspeed question for you. What would be your review scores for Yankee and FA? I'd probably give Yankee at least an 8, and FA would probably be a 7 or an 8. I don't think it's as amazing as maybe some people make it out to be. Like, some people think it's Godspeed's best record, and I don't think that's the case at all. But yeah, I think they're both very good, and Yankee especially is great. Ow! The Musical Journeyman, thank you. A weird question, which do you prefer, American football or the Avalanches? Avalanches. Also, have you and Mike Seatown discussed another collab? We have not. Although I guess, I need to look at what albums I have coming up and see which ones maybe he'd be interested in talking with me on. I guess we'll see. Mike Seatown will be with me at some point this year. We'll see. Hey, Anthony, I went to see JPEG and Vince Staples live and met Peggy. Whoa, did they played at the same show? That's fucking amazing. And met Peggy after the show, and he told me you send him videos of you washing your hands. Care to explain? I sent him a video of me washing my hands. What was I doing? I made a joke to him about how I think like I made a joke to him about like masculinity or something, and I told him, here's how a real man washes his hands. I'm not going to tell you guys what I did in the video because that's special confidential information, and Peggy is a real fucking slut for spreading the word on that, okay? But believe me, it's not anything sexual, okay? It's nothing that would land me in jail, okay? It's nothing that would land me in jail. But Peggy needs to shut the fuck up. Make a video on how you listen to an album. I guess I'll think about it, though. Believe me, listening, like how I listen to an album, or I don't know. I guess I'll write it down. I'll think about it. How I listen to an album. Okay, I'll think about it. I think I need to put some thought into exactly how you want that question answered, but I don't think you, like, am I sitting in a chair in this room listening to it at this volume? Like, I don't think that's the answer you want, but I'll think about it. Are there any records coming out on Record Store Day you're excited for? But I haven't looked at the list yet. Once I do, I'll probably do a video on it. Elijah Sly. Ow! 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 20, thank you. Hey, Fantano, I'd love to share a track of mine I've released. Let me know if I can DM you the link on Twitter. Yes, you can DM me the link on Twitter. You can send it over there, and I'll see it. I'll see it there. If you've DM'd me before, I assume you probably have if you're messaging on me on here asking. Hey, Anthony, what's your opinion on Amon Tobin? I think he's a super cutting-edge and creative producer. Although I do think sometimes, like how inventive the way he produces his tracks is, sometimes that can supersede the compositional elements. You know what I mean? But I am looking forward to his new album this year. I am definitely looking forward to that. George Danforth, you used to promote an app called Symbol, but now it's shut down. Do I think there's still a market for a similar product? If so, what would make you change? I mean, I used to promote them, but then like I said, then they shut down and they stopped, sort of sponsoring with me, and that's why that ended up happening. Not to say that they shut down because they stopped sponsoring, but they stopped sponsoring, and obviously the well ran dry, I guess. But I think there's probably a market somewhere for an app that basically allows music fans to, I don't know what, like rate songs, share albums, share their favorite albums. But the thing is, like, I think it would be tough to sort of like, I don't know, sort of have all of that functioning just off of pictures. Like, there would need to be tie-ins with streaming platforms and YouTube so people can actually like hear the things that you're sharing and that sort of shit. So yeah, I mean, I think there is a market for, an app that sort of is a social media app that's based on music. But I guess it would depend on, how you implement it, I guess. Conceptually, I want to say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, but I think it all depends on how you execute. When we get in the Black Parade Classic Review, it would have to be during Classic Week, and I am considering it highly. Yo, Nice Shades, thank you. Just wondering, what's your favorite New Order song? It is definitely Age of Consent, and don't interpret that as a creepy, rapey choice or anything. I just think it's a great song. Frantically uploading all of my music to YouTube so that you can actually hear my stuff. Haha. Okay, well, there you go. Oh, I'm not going to listen to all of it. Just put your best stuff on there. Thank you. Just put your best 2 songs on there. Hi, Melon. Can I raise your 8 children? No, because you're Pennywise the Clown, and you're going to put them in the deep down below, and they're going to float. So you're not really raising them. You're putting them down underground. Weezer albums would be better if they cut their budgets by half. Maybe. Possibly. Yeah, I mean, I guess if the record label sort of like beat Rivers and the band into like recording every album as rough as Pinkerton, possibly. Anthony, a follow-up. If you checked out Bambara, I have not. Also, would you try to interview Daughters if I go to their CT show? I don't know if I would interview them. I am definitely going to try to go to their show, though. I'm definitely going to try to go to their show. Ayo, when is the new Sun Kill Moon record going to get a mention? I am going to be listening to it more tonight. I was listening to it this afternoon. And, it could be a formal review, could be a Why You Know review. I haven't figured it out yet, but we'll see. I have heard of the band Thunder Pussy. Yes, I have. Excuse me. Kind of fun, bit of a novelty. Good for a laugh, but I'm not really all that into their stuff. Have I ever seen Brockhampton live? Yes, I do. I have a video on it. You should watch my video on it, as I do go into detail about my experience seeing the band live. It's on the Fantano channel. Hey, Anthony, big fan. You never discussed or did any videos on the Joyner Lucas Tory Lanez battle diss tracks because all of that was trash. And it was clear that both sides weren't really taking it all that serious. If I've listened to any of the... No, I have not. I don't know who won. Like, a Tory Lanez diss track interests me, like, zero. That beef was just, like, so boring. So I just completely let it slip by me. I apologize. But that was just like, it was just wasn't into that beef. Jay Jacobs, ow! Probably won't make an I review your music video. So I'd love for you to give anything to listen on my page, SoundCloud. Okay, I'll put it in my phone. I'll try to check it out later. Thank you very much. Thoughts on Black Ben Carson by Peggy, and other than it not being very distinct. Do you recall the songs, all caps and no spaces, or 27 Club? I'll say this about Black Ben Carson. I am planning at some point, once I complete it, to make a video of 10 more albums that I've changed my mind on. And that album is currently on my list because, it's a bit of like a Danny Brown, the hybrid sort of situation. I heard the hybrid, wasn't all that crazy about it. Then I heard Triple X and I was like, whoa, Triple X is fucking amazing. And then I go back and of course the hybrid clicks with me. With Peggy, I liked, that collab record that he did a little while back. And obviously I loved Veteran. And now that I love Veteran, I've gone back and I've listened to Black Ben Carson and I like it a lot more. So that will definitely be on my next list of that sort. I think I just have 1 or 2 more slots to fill to make a complete 10 albums. Any chance of a laughing? Yeah, I think there could be a classic review this year as a result of the recent passing of Mark Hollis. So I think that's definitely in consideration. Share your thoughts sometime on L 1 through 5. I haven't even heard it. Honestly, I have not. I didn't even hear it. I did not make the time for it, and that's why I didn't comment on it. Any feelings on the Gothenburg 3 90s Mellow Death? I don't think I've heard them. I'm gonna try it out. You assume it's too clean for a metal taste, but honestly, that 90s mellow death shit is honestly a little bit before the production got so pristine that it was fucking unbearable for me. So if they're a good 90s mellow death band, I probably would dig it. There's actually even some 2000s mellow death that I like quite a bit. So if that shit's from the 90s, it's probably decent. Have I heard of Jack Stauber? I have. I think his music's okay. It's cool. It's cute. It's lo-fi. It's quirky. It's fun. It's got some Ariel Pink vibes a little bit. What are my opinions? I recently discovered him and I'm low-key obsessed. He's got some cool stuff and he's got a nice catalog worth obsessing over. I'm a little bit more of a fan of the artists that obviously influence him than I am of his stuff. But I can see why people are, enamored with his stuff. His YouTube presence is pretty impressive as well. So, check out Jack if you haven't already. He's a good guy and a talented musician. Daniel Warren, ow, 20. Thank you. Hey, I'm not sure if you follow this guy called Lauren. I do. I have followed his music for a little bit. Just wanted to put his name out there. Pretty dark synth. Yep. Yeah, I think his stuff is okay. I believe he had a record on Brainfeeder Records a while ago that was pretty decent. But yeah, he's got some good stuff. If you're into dark synth-wavy shit, Lauren is definitely worth checking out. I don't know if he's dropped anything recently, though. I haven't been following that. Hey, Mr. Annie, I just wanted to tell you my senior page in my yearbook is a white background with Frank Zappa's MC Rides and Mark Kozilek's and your face floating around mine. That's quite a round of influences to have there. I appreciate that. I see the chat asking for you to listen to Psychodrama by Dave. Love You Thick Boy. I actually have heard it. Not super crazy about it. Most likely my thoughts will turn up in a Why You Know review, I think. We will see. Have my thoughts changed on Reflector? Not really, honestly. Although the mixing on the album isn't great, I think the songwriting makes up for it. In the instance of some tracks, yes. But for the most part, I think some of the, I guess, more international vibes that the band tries to work into their music on that record, I think are weak. I just think the album is just way too deeply flawed for it to grow on me, honestly. But, I'm glad it's growing on you. And the title track is fucking killer. Title track is killer. Would love to hear, what would you like to hear from the next Ghost album? I don't know. I liked the idea of the band going into a more narrative and conceptual direction on their latest record. I think if they were to flesh out something a bit more like that on the next album, it would be great. And honestly, while I do love Prequel, I would love to hear an album. While I don't mind the band working in some hard rock and some like prog elements and that sort of thing, and maybe drifting away from the metal stuff just a bit, I would love another record from Ghost with just a bit more bite. Just a bit more bite. You know what I mean? Just a tad bit more. Hey, Anthony, been running a hip-hop review blog called FocusHipHop.com since late 2014. Would appreciate it if you checked it out. Well, that's dedication to be doing it since 2014. Shout out to this motherfucker's blog, FocusHipHop.com. Hey, Mr. Fantano, have I heard of the band TV Girl? I have. What are my thoughts? I think their music is okay. Some of the heavier, clunkier, chunkier, almost more industrial and post-punky tracks of theirs are definitely my faves. But I believe the last big album or EP that they put out a while ago just kind of fell very flat for me. They're one of my faves right now. Also, thank you for all you do to keep it up. Thank you very much, ADT Films. I haven't seen an ADT film yet, but hopefully there's one out soon. Any idea when hers I used to know EPs will be released on vinyl? No clue. No idea. No idea, honestly. Although she does have quite a bit of, support in the industry. So maybe at some point, I feel like her audience hasn't quite crossed over into the hipster vinyl buying crowd, It's more the straight commercial R&B audience, which I don't know if they purchase much vinyl. But, it is one of the most popular mediums to purchase music right now, so who knows? Excuse me. Hi, Anthony. I've been looking to get into vinyl and was wondering if you could recommend some good brands to look into turntables. My recommended turntable brands, as long as you're, saving up your money, save it up. Don't just buy a cheap fucking $100 turntable. You will fucking regret it, especially if it scratches your shit. Pee-pee or poo-poo, I prefer pee-pee. If you're buying in that $300 to $500 range, which I think will get you a decent starter table that is not total garbage, I do recommend a Technics or a Stanton. Okay. Who's your favorite movie composer? Trent Reznor, Hans Zimmer, John Williams, or someone else? I think Hans is dope as fuck. John is okay, if you love really dramatic shit. I also like Vangelis. I do love a lot of those classic 80s progressive synth soundtracks. I do think they're great. Ennio Morricone is also another favorite of mine. His soundtracks are amazing. And also, I guess I'd throw John Carpenter in there. Why not? Obviously not the biggest catalog of any movie composer, but, it's the shit that we love from him is classic. Blake Emery, ow, 20. 30 to 40 years from now, who do you think Brockhampton will be? How do you think Brockhampton will be remembered? Also, you never answered my question about Jussie Smollett, the last live stream. I did answer it, but I answered it very, 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 very late into the live stream because it turned into a bit of a political rant at the end of the live stream, which is listed in the playlist on the channel, the Fantano channel, the live stream playlist. So it is at the very end over there. But how do I think Brockhampton will be remembered in 30 to 40 years? Frankly, at this point, as much as I love Brockhampton, I don't know if there's anything about their stuff that's going to last the next 30 to 40 years. But the thing is, they're still very much in their infancy. If they last successfully, let's say Brockhampton comes out with 6 more records, not 6. Let's say they come out with 4 more records. Okay, not to say that they're only going to come out with 4, but let's say they come out with 4 more albums that are somewhere in the 8 to 10 range, and they're close to, or they're legitimately classics. If they come out with 4 or 5 more records like that over the next 10 years and people are still interested in them over that span of time, I think they do have, potential to be remembered for the next 30 to 40 years. But as of right now, I think the band are still at a point and in a position where they're proving themselves. Thoughts on Carpenter Brut. I do think that I was looking forward to the latest album, but then I think the new one came out and it had all those bad vocals on it and so on and so forth. I mean, look, I think he has some cool, dark, eerie, cinematic synthwave shit. But I just kind of missed out on some of those records like Trilogy, which are actually pretty decent, which maybe at the time, if I was aware of it more, I probably would have covered it. Also, Surf's Up by Beach Boys is underrated and deserves a classic review. Well, I haven't even done a Pet Sounds classic review yet, and if I do a Beach Boys review, that is definitely going to get covered first. I apologize. And also, if I haven't, 20, Scotch Dog, 20, thank you. Forgive me if you've already answered this and I get how you know how to separate art from the artist. I just want to know what you think of the whole MJ situation, and if I think he did it, I don't have to answer if the topic is too hot. Let me say, hold on, I checked out the new Lennon Claypool. Yes, I have. I thought it was kind of bland, though. Honestly, I thought they kind of canceled each other out, frankly. a couple of cool ideas on there, but frankly, a lot of what I hear Les Claypool do these days, and maybe the new Primus album trended away from that just a tad. A lot of what Claypool does these days just comes off to me as gimmicky. Like the songs aren't there, like the compelling bass work isn't there, and it just sounds kooky for the sake of being kooky, which I'm not all that crazy about. But anyway, so the MJ thing. I have seen the first portion of the 2 documentaries, and honestly, I thought a lot of what was there was pretty compelling. And look, honestly, like I know that the people who are talking about MJ and their history with him in these documentaries are not perfect victims, and they themselves are flawed, and people have dug up their past and been like, well, what about this and that, and don't they need money and blah, 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 and didn't he recant this and blah, 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 that, and so on and so forth. But here's the thing. Like, my issue with the Michael Jackson situation and why I think not necessarily, am I going to come out here and say, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt he did it. It's not so much that I'm claiming that, but as of what we know right now, like just what was already out in the open and what has been admitted to, is already an indication of serious wrongdoing and somebody who is almost criminally sick. Because here's the thing. You should not be sleeping with essentially strangers' children or sharing your bed with them, sleeping around with them, spending all of this time with them, even if you're saying the time that you're spending is not sexual and so on and so forth. Because what Michael Jackson was doing, or at least what he admitted to doing, as far as defending himself, saying, no, you're ignorant, da, 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 da. Like, even what he was doing has the potential to warp a child's perception of intimacy, of proper adult behavior, of just basically what is okay and what is not okay for adults to do, what is acceptable. And again, warping a child's sense of intimacy in their own personal space and like what adults should and shouldn't be doing, I personally interpret as a form of abuse. It's not literally I'm beating you and putting bruises on you. It's not literally sexual abuse, but I think it's a type of mental and emotional abuse. And look, there's all these people who, as soon as you say anything, will line up around the fucking block to say, he didn't do it, he wrote this song, he wrote that song, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. You would never, ever, ever let your fucking kids sleep with Michael Jackson, okay? You would never do it. So if you're so fucking gung-ho about like, oh, he's innocent, man, this, that, and the other thing, well, would you let your kids sleep with Michael Jackson? Would you leave your kids alone with Michael Jackson in his house for hours and hours and hours, completely unsupervised, and let your kids go out on tour with him for weeks and weeks at a time? Would you do that? Like, no, you'd have to be on fucking crack. So... So, look, I mean, we can say that, some elements of the trial were bullshit. And look, I was conscious around that time and paying attention to a lot of that news because I was a kid and Michael Jackson often was the butt of many jokes at my school and the trial was plastered all over TV. And I remember, how much of a fiasco that last trial that he went through was. And look, I think that he fought in the way that he did because maybe there was some BS to it. Maybe his lawyers thought that he could fight. However, it still doesn't change the fact that he had that case way back in the 90s that he just fucking paid to put that shit on ice. And the thing is, like, you don't shell out millions of dollars to make an accusation like that go away and disappear from the planet Earth if it doesn't actually have merit to it. So... Look, the Michael Jackson defenders would never let Michael sleep with their fucking kids, okay? And that's the last point that I'll make. Oh, what are my thoughts on Antioch Arrow? Also, classic review Heartwork. Heartwork would be a fun classic review. Leaves turn in or symbolic. I'm a little bit more of a symbolic person, and I haven't heard Antioch Arrow, so I'll put it in my phone and I'll give you a 20. Ow! Hey, Anthony, have I ever listened to a song? Excuse me. No, I've not heard that Bruno Major song. I don't think so. If so, may I give an opinion on it? And if not, could I consider giving it a listen? The Bruno Major artist sounds familiar from name, but I don't think I've heard that song. How about Elvis? What are we going to talk about Elvis's behavior? Yeah, I mean, I guess we could. I mean, if you want to. I mean, Elvis married a fucking teenager, but here's the thing, like, Elvis doesn't have a documentary out about him right now, and that's why he's not the topic of discussion, okay? And the thing is, like, look, in the era of Me Too and in the era of understanding the destruction of sexual abuse and the importance of coming forward, and that we shouldn't just be throwing every accusation that gets lobbed at somebody in a position of power under the bus because we like that movie or that song or that whatever that person made. As we are coming to terms with all of this, I think Michael Jackson gets brought up because he's one of the biggest and the most recent examples of the country essentially just like, nope, just fucking put the dirt on that. Nope, bury that shit. Nope, I'm not hearing any of it. Like, not to give Elvis or Jerry Lee Lewis or who the fuck else, fucking Woody Allen, a fucking pass on, or even Chuck Berry, who in his final days he fucking had those cameras in the fucking women's bathrooms. Not to sort of like ignore any of their shit. They have shit too. But the thing is, like, again, Michael Jackson, huge instance, huge case, multiple victims, super recent, and documentary out. Okay. And that's essentially the reason that's the topic of discussion. Sure, we can talk about Elvis too. I mean, I think he's certainly crossed the line as well. As well as many other artists too. I'm not giving Elvis a fucking pass here, which is, in my opinion, just kind of an instance of whataboutism. Like, yeah, Elvis did it too. But Michael Jackson, there's a reason that we're talking about Michael Jackson doing it and not Elvis. Just because of current events and because of the documentary and so on and so forth. If you want to take it upon yourself to make a documentary about how much of a pervert Elvis was, I implore you, go ahead and do it, because Elvis was not just a scumbag who married a teenager, but he was also kind of a dickhead too. So, you can do some coverage on that as well. What was your song that I picked for my first dance at my wedding? Who picked it and why? Actually, I had a pretty low-key wedding with friends and family, and we didn't do like a big dance floor or anything because we didn't really have the money, and we would have had like way too many family members to invite. So we just did like a super low-key, chill, justice of the peace type of thing. I wish I and my family had the money, to either of our families had the money to do a big wedding and do a nice wedding that we would have got a lot of memories out of, but we just didn't, because we were just like poor as fuck when we decided to get married. So, and just like barely making rent. So yeah, we didn't have a first dance, which sucks. But and you depressed me by asking me that question. But it's just, the case, but life is better now. So, can't complain. Best Portishead album, in my opinion, is 3. Also thoughts on Booty and the Kid. I'm not familiar with Booty and the Kid, so I cannot comment on Booty and the Kid. Mike Alexander's YouTube channel 24. Thank you. Ow! I have like 6,000 songs on my iTunes, yet I feel like there's no sense of ownership in having a throng of files. How do I collect music, or are you busy reviewing new releases that it's too tough to return to older music? It is tough to return to older music, but honestly, I would say that my regular life bullshit gets in the way of that more than just my job, I'm probably not going to be reviewing the new T-Pain record. I thought it was just kind of boring. It might end up in a Why You Know review, but I guess we'll see. I do listen to, a lot of new music for my job, but you guys already know that. But again, if anything makes it tough to go back to older albums, it is just kind of regular, everyday family, just like, day-to-day life bullshit, But, I don't imagine life is always going to be as hectic as it is right now, so whatever. But yeah, I guess I kind of see what you're saying as far as like, you know, there's no ownership of just having like these ones and zeros like logged onto my computer. I feel very much the same way. I'm not sure if that's more of like an old head way of looking at it. It probably is, since a lot of, you know, young listeners and fans these days don't even really care to own the album digitally. You know, they just stream it or add it to their library, and it just kind of is what it is. Am I going to review the new Portrayal of Guilt? I'm not even familiar with that album. I will need to just pop it in my phone and see if it's of interest to me. There should be a documentary made on you for giving Who's Up For. Yeah, maybe there should be. That's actually probably my true crime. My true crime against humanity, giving that record a 4. There's a huge argument to be made around 2000 scene bands like Broken Side impacting the current climate of emo rap and SoundCloud rappers, from the use of autotune, aesthetics, and emo kid screams. I don't know if it's necessarily a direct influence or impact, but I think what a lot of those groups were kind of pioneering eventually kind of came around. You know what I mean? A lot of some of those emo rappers that have gotten big now weren't so much listening to those bands as much as they were listening to like Fall Out Boy and shit like that, which is still emo. You know, I don't know if it's so much the emo scene bands. Many people look on Broken Side as just like annoying, because honestly, I think if a lot of these newer rappers took that much influence from Broken Side, they'd probably be like mentioning Broken Side, shouting them out, like, you know, like big up Broken Side, that sort of thing. But Broken Side is still around and nobody gives a fuck. So their impact is probably not that big. Yeah, sorry to say, but I think that's the case. Has my opinion changed on the Playboi Carti mixtape? Not really, but I do like Dilet more. Dilet's I do like. I mean, I already liked it in my review, but I do like it a little bit more now. Which is one album I'm going to mention in that video that I talked about earlier, the 10 albums that I changed my mind on. You know, a little bit. You know, I like it a little bit more. Please recommend some classic 90s R&B albums. Probably like Boyz II Men's 2. Fucking TLC's Crazy, Sexy, Cool. You know, those are a couple that I really loved when I was a kid. Excuse me. You know, some of Aaliyah's earlier records. Yeah, those are some recommendations that I'll make. And also like late 90s Destiny's Child, please. Opinion on Moon Hooch. Also, what is the best Front Bottoms album? Not a big Front Bottoms guy outside of their like early stuff where they were a bit more folk punk. So I guess around there. Tobe, I'm not sure. And Moon Hooch, I think I've heard, but I don't recall their stuff at all, so I cannot comment. But for me, Front Bottoms really kind of like went downhill once they kind of lost their kind of folky edge. Opinions on Streetlight Manifesto, definitely one of the best third wave ska punk bands out there, no question. Their songs are definitely like way more, I guess, the word I want to say is structure intensive and ambitious than I think they needed to be for the genre. But it definitely paid off in that I think their music is so good that they didn't really depend on the scene, you know, for their appeal necessarily. You know, I think their music is so good it kind of transcends that whole trend and that whole wave. So shout the fuck out to Streetlight Manifesto. Have you ever heard of Smurs? They do really neat art pop. No, I have not. I'll look up Smurs. Hello, Mr. Mellon. Could you listen to the song Cycle Boats live in Berlin by Mum? So I have confirmation that I enjoy good music. I don't recall that song off the top of my head, but listen, if you're listening to Mum, you probably have some pretty good taste because Mum is a dope band. You know, some of their later records aren't all that intriguing to me, but a lot of their classic stuff and early stuff is fucking amazing. You know, if you love interesting instrumental, almost post-rocky type stuff that is very beautiful and glistening and not your typical generic shit in that style, check out Mum because they have some dope and interesting records. What makes you review an album? Have I ever been paid by an artist to review something? No, I do not take payments to do like formal reviews on my YouTube channel. That is not the point of my YouTube channel. what makes me review an album is kind of a mix of artists and sounds and genres and trends and labels that I already know that I have interest in, and I basically kind of keep tabs on all of that through PR emails, through subscription services, through just basically, keeping aware of that, and also getting emailed sometimes by people who have connections to these artists that just let me, hey, frickin' Billy Woods has a new album on the way in March 29th, just to kind of know. It's a mix of that, just kind of keeping tabs on everything that I can, and seeing what other people think is hype and so on and so forth. Keeping tabs on that, filtering through it. If any of it hits me or grabs my attention or wows me, I want to talk about it. I want to, make a big deal out of it. It's a mix of that, and it's a mix of what you guys are like, Anthony, you gotta review this. Like if I sense that demand is like big enough, for a certain record, and you guys are fucking up my ass to review it, and I think it would be interesting to talk about, then I go ahead and talk about it. I don't review every single album that gets demanded of me to review, but Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, I never cared for their stuff. I thought they were all just like kind of a generic hard rock and heavy metal band. Never really cared for it. But I guess those are two ways that I kind of decide to review an album. Personal interest and also what you guys are kind of demanding of me are two of the biggest factors. Trey Smith, ow! Bro, I love books, and I just wanted to ask, what's the best book I've ever read? I'm reading Gravity's Rainbow. Also, my friend wanted me to ask, what's more disheartening to a vegan, eating yogurt or working on a farm? I guess I'd probably would be more disheartened to have to work on a farm and like kill an animal or something, probably. And I guess one of my favorite books of all time is like Breakfast of Champions by Kurt Vonnegut. I think that book is fucking crazy and hilarious. Red Cal XZ. Ow! Hey, Anthony, sorry I didn't donate last stream. That's fine. You're always generous whenever you do pop up, and I appreciate it. Another electronic music album recommendation, Dave Angel's Tales of the Unexpected. Some really nice jazz-inspired tech house. That sounds cool. Jazz-inspired tech house. Excuse me. That sounds kind of neato. Have you ever heard of the rapper named Khan? I have. If not, listen to his Furious style. It's amazing. Yeah, I think he's okay. I don't know. Sometimes I find his stuff a little too vanilla, in my opinion, but I do like that he has kind of a positive, uplifting vibe to his stuff. And he does put a lot of heart into his lyrics and the topics that he approaches in his music. Hope you're doing well, Melon. I was wondering if I ever had heard of the band Otoboke Beaver. Japanese punk rock band. No, I have not. New album out in April. Okay, that's something to look forward to. Yeah, I heard Zillakami. I saw that picture of... what would it take for you to follow me back on Twitter? I don't know, just tweet at me, and I'll try to look for it. Yeah, I saw a picture of Zillakami in cuffs at like the airport or some shit. Why the fuck is he in cuffs? He wasn't doing some crazy shit at the airport, was he? I hope not. I'm definitely, I need to look into that, but fucking free that dude. Have I listened to the new Quedeca album? I hope that's how I'm pronouncing it, or I hope that's how it's supposed to be pronounced. If so, what's my opinion? I think the dude has some fast flows and some interesting lyrics here and there, but for the most part, I thought a lot of the deeper cuts on his new record were kind of generic, especially the more sing-songy auto-tune cuts. Like I just did not see what the point or the personality of those tracks was. Just kind of sounded like he was chasing after a very popular sound that he kind of drowned his own personality in the process of kind of going after that stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think the dude has some baseline talent for just like rapping and spitting. But as like a songwriter, I'm not like really blown away or anything like that. Here's 10 for you to, when you do your marriage again, hire Kendrick to play TPAB Live or something. Also, thanks for answering that tough and controversial question earlier. Love you. Thank you very much for, I'm not afraid of a tough or a controversial question. That's totally fine. That's why we do the Q&As. You can ask a tough question if you want. That's totally fine. And I'll give you an honest answer to the best of my ability. As long as I'm not like incriminating myself or something. Like if you guys ask me how many people I've murdered over the course of my lifetime, locations, names, so on and so forth, I'm probably not going to give you that information. Anything that's going to put me in jail, I'm not going to tell you about all the people I've killed in my lifetime, okay? I'm not going to tell you about all the people I've killed. But, if it's a tough question that is, art or culture related, that is totally fine. Do I have any idea how rappers do super long verses without breathing? For example, the last verse on Rigor Mortis by Kendrick, do I think they edit it together or do they have superhuman lungs? I mean, look, rapping is a talent like anything else. Like lots of rappers. Here's the thing. Rigor Mortis, a rapper could definitely do that at the pace that Kendrick did it without having to edit it, because I've heard rappers in ciphers, rap that fucking fast, or in rap battles, rap that fucking fast. And it's really not about having superhuman lungs as much as it is about breath control, knowing when to breathe so that you have the proper amount of breath to execute whatever line it is you're trying to rap. And just basically, once you've written what you've written, finding out when you can sort of breathe. I will say that, I've known rappers to, once they do get a hold of their breath control, to breathe so quickly in between lines that you maybe might not notice it. Or when they are doing a record in post, they might edit the breaths out because maybe they're loud, maybe they ruin the vibe of the track, maybe they want the song to sound cleaner. You know what I mean? So, a couple of things to consider. Have I heard of Nilüfer Yana? She's a refreshing mix of indie guitar and pop. I have not. Thanks for showing me how to love Little Pump. Unfortunately, the new record, I just do not care for it. I mean, hopefully you guys like it more than me, but I've not heard of her. I will try to check out her stuff. I just put it in my phone. What's my opinion on Midwest emo revival and its impact on the general music scene? I don't really think it has much impact on the general music scene, honestly. Like, I don't really see the Midwest emo revival as that far reaching. Is it influencing? I don't really know what it's influencing. I mean, you do have emo trap out there, but most of the time when I hear rappers kind of embracing these emo vocal melodies or aesthetics, they're not really coming from the Midwest emo shit, but more the pop emo shit of the 2000s. So I don't really see how far reaching any of it is, frankly. And in my opinion on the revival of it, I'm not really all that crazy about it because I don't really think it brings all that much to the table, outside of what the older bands have already brought, for the most part. Ever since Empire disbanded, it seems like what little was the revival has disappeared. Yeah, I mean, I think at this point the revival has kind of disappeared. Either that or groups who kind of came up in that revival are now playing alternative rock or, pop rock or some other kind of 90s variant. Yeah, I mean, shit like that comes and goes. Do I assign a hard score for my reviews? Example, you say it's a light 3, but it's actually broke it down. Yeah, I mean, when I say something is a strong to decent or whatever, I mean, that's kind of a sliding scale. So, I guess it's not necessarily set in stone. Got to show some love to the best melon on the web. Thanks for the SeatGeek promo. Helped score some Behemoth and Gojira tickets. That's fucking awesome. And I guess shout out to SeatGeek. Rank the Beatles Ringo songs worst to best. All the Ringo songs are not particularly good. So, Mikey Mike. Ow! Melon, have I ever heard of the rapper Chris Skemmes? If not, you'll like his music. His YouTube channel is Chris Skemmes. Listen to tracks I remember. Intro, let the record play. Okay, I'll give it a try. I'll give it a try. I'm skeptical of the name. You could get a better rap name than that, honestly. Top 5 animated films. Mine are Shrek, Ice Age, Up, Aladdin, and Lion King. Jeez. Akira for me is probably in there. Lion King is probably in there, or some kind of Disney shit. What are some other amazing animated films? Yeah, I guess Up is pretty fantastic as far as like DreamWorks shit. Moana's pretty great too. But that classic Disney shit, that Aladdin shit, and that Little Mermaid shit. It's really good. I'm trying to think of what other. God, gonna make me fucking be a basic bitch here and fucking. Films. Oh yeah. Let me look at here. Let me look at this. I'll try to get back to this question later. Excuse me. Ugh. Animation. All right, let's get back to being human. And Shrek is a cute movie. Do a Bjork Madness bracket. I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. Have I heard Psychodrama by Dave? Yes, I have. There are points where I think his lyrics are a little basic, or the instrumentals that he picked are a little uninteresting. But I definitely will be making a comment on it at some point. Maybe in a formal review, maybe in a Why You Know review. I guess we'll see. Spencer Young. Ow! If you're looking for someone kick-ass, if you're looking for some kick-ass surf punk, now I know Man or Astro Man. They're one of the most fun bands of the 90s. The frontman did the theme song to Jimmy Neutron, but it's a solid band, memes aside. Yeah, I have a few of their 7 inches. I don't have a full Man or Astro Man record, but I have a few of their 7 inches, and they were a fun band. There was a bit of a surf rock revival that even kind of like popped up in the punk scene a little bit in the 90s, which I'm pretty sure was like, coincided with the surf, explosion, or not rather the surf explosion, but rather coincided with the release of like, Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction, because honestly, like that was a huge soundtrack at the time. It was a huge cultural phenomenon at the time as a film. And, the Dick Dale tracks on there and all the surf rock on that album did create like a kind of a revival and a love of surf rock amongst the popular music listening audience at the time. Maybe not so big where it's like, dance pop or anything, but, among rock fans, there was definitely like kind of a revival of an interest in it. Would I ever have thought about going back on a 10? As of right now, no. No, I haven't really thought back about going. I haven't thought about going back on a 10 yet. And honestly, like, if I'm like 55 and I'm feeling differently about the music that I gave a 10, 20 years ago, it's whatever, because at least I thought it was a 10 at the time. I enjoyed it at the time that I reviewed it, because opinions change, they do. But honestly, I have not given out many 10s over the thousands of reviews that I've done, so I don't take giving a 10 very lightly. So when I do give something a 10, it's usually got kind of a high bar to pass. And I guess I'll leave it at that. If you reviewed Demon Days, what score would I give it? Probably an 8 or a 9. I mean, it's a really great record. And I own it myself. Do I think that awareness of great music can affect how good an artist's music is? For instance, Little Xan and company not being familiar with older hip hop. Do I think Blueface's flow is just E40's recycled? No, I don't think it's just E40's flow. I think E40 is definitely a very different vocal quality and delivery. They're both very animated in their delivery, but I don't think it's the same flow. Look, here's the thing. I do think the more you know about music creation, and music history before you make music yourself, it's not a requirement, but it can definitely enhance your talents in the field of music, just kind of like it's the same fucking thing as cooking. Here's the thing. Like if you go to, cook yourself a delicious spaghetti dinner and you don't know what the fuck the point of salt is, like you don't know what it tastes like, you don't know what it does, you don't know how you would apply it or when you would apply it or how much you would apply, you're probably going to make a pretty shitty spaghetti dinner. And look, here's the thing. Like the only reason guys like Little Xan look good are because there are producers out there who, do know this shit for the most part. Either they know some of the history or they at least understand the inner workings of rhythm and time signature and, where the kick drums should go, where the snares should go, so on and so forth. If not for producers understanding these basic fundamentals of music assembly, nobody would be listening to little fucking Zan creak his way through one song after another. Do I know the Residents? I do. Their music is pretty quirky, crazy, fun, and weird. And I probably should do a classic review on their shit one day. Have you listened to the new demo track Pretty Dark by Grimes? I have not. Where would I? Is that on YouTube? Is that on Twitter? Is it on Instagram? I haven't heard of it yet. But I am looking forward to her new album. What do I think of Mariah Carey music, albums, production, songwriting, especially the last album, Butterfly? What I sampled from the last album I thought was just okay. Of her classic stuff, I'm not really crazy about Mariah's songwriting or anything, but her vocals are great. She does have some classic tracks that were definitely huge 90s bops that are absolutely undeniable. But as far as like R&B singers and pop singers of the 90s, like she wasn't one of my favorites outside of her vocal ability. You know what I mean? If modern rap labels and groups had a rap battle, who do I think would come out on top? I would take either TDE or Pro Era because I'm a PE fanboy, and I guess Win could have different meanings. Yeah, I mean, I would be TDE all the way, because who else is it really going to be? It would be TDE all the way. Because like good music and Maybach Music Group aren't really like together like they used to be back when like rap cliques were kind of a thing. So yeah, I mean, I guess it would be TDE, though. I mean, honestly, like Black Hippie isn't even that together. I think if Black Hippie were a bit more on the page, we would have heard a mixtape by now. And I think like one of the greatest injustices of modern rap is that we've never gotten a Black Hippie mixtape. New Sun Kill Moon, I'm considering it. Where's My Son? He's in the dumpster. What do I think is the next direction for West Coast rap? Seems like Hyphy is making a soft comeback. It kind of is, but honestly, I don't think the West Coast is coming back as a movement, just like I don't think the East Coast is coming back as a movement at this point, because every rapper essentially doesn't really come from a scene outside of just like coming from the internet. Every rapper is coming from the internet now. Like no rapper is really coming strictly from a scene. I do think, again, there is sort of like that hyphy revival because that scene is so localized and has been so localized for such a long time that it never really had the mainstream shine on it like G-Funk did, to the point where it kind of lost touch with its geographical roots. But I think every rapper is essentially an island right now. And no matter where you're from, you're just trying to sound like how everybody fucking else sounds like on the internet. Unless you're doing something like, JPEG Mafia or Open Mike Eagle and just like trying to forge your own way. Maybe a Frank Ocean bracket. I've not seen one of those around the internet, though that could be pretty fun. Only one bracket so far in March, and we're starving here. That's true. But maybe I need to do more brackets throughout the year. But yeah, I need to do another bracket. I was considering doing a Strokes one. But I haven't seen a Frank Ocean one. I haven't seen anybody make that. Maybe I'll Google it. Maybe there is one. If modern rap labels and... Yeah, I saw that one already. And I got to that one. Can I get a birthday shout out? Ow! Thank you for the 20. Height. Thank you for donating and happy birthday. What is my favorite song on Iridescence? Also, if I wanted to get into Weezer, which albums should I start with? I would just start with the Blue Album. And on Iridescence, geez, let me see. Let me see. What would I need to see the track list. What would my favorite be? It would probably be either Jover. I wish Where the Cash Out was fucking longer, because if it was longer and it had like more verses on it and everything, that'd probably be one of my favorite tracks. Probably either Jover, Honey, or Tanya. Those are probably my favorites off of the record. Excuse me. Melon Chris Skemma's last name is actually pronounced Schemes. Oh, well, there you go. Schemes. But I understand why you would say I like that, LOL. Why do you never review any Sabrina Claudio's projects? Yeah, I thought her music was okay. I thought that she had a decent teaser track to her new record. But then when I heard the entire thing, it just felt a little too, I guess, washed out to really kind of grab me. Unfortunately, I think like a lot of these newer R&B projects are just like a little too atmospheric and flavorless to really kind of grab my attention, and that record kind of fell along those same lines for me. Did I listen to Avondale Bowling Club? A little bit, if I am thinking of the right band. Jesus Christ. Yes, that hip hop record. Honestly, there were some bars on that album that I thought were kind of cringy. I thought the jazzy instrumentals were kind of cool. But the more that I listened to it and the more that it was so obvious that there were so many lines on there and flows that were just like ripping off Kendrick, the more it just like kind of turned me off, honestly. I could see, from New Zealand, it's an amazing record, but like in the grander scheme of jazz rap, it's not like blown me away or anything. Have I heard the Sasami debut? Do I plan on reviewing it? I don't think I have yet. Let me just put that in my phone. I'm not sure if I plan on reviewing it. I haven't heard enough to comment or decide. Do I agree that Everything is the best current band? I think they're one of the best current bands, and I think they would maybe be the best current band if their last record didn't seem like they were pulling back on the fucking eccentricity. I do not get the move that they wanted to make with that album, because it just kind of seemed like the instrumentals were more repetitive, vocals were more reserved, much fewer risks taken across the album. Just don't get what the band was trying to achieve with that album. Just really kind of seemed like they kneecapped themselves on that record. If they could, come back with another creative and colorful and mind-bending pop rock album, I would be overjoyed. Cut my hair, you become a coconut. I like to think of myself as a little bit more of a kiwi, frankly, and I will be probably cutting my hair this weekend. Melon, I recently got into Mars Volta. How do I feel about cryptic lyrics? Generally, I'm fine with them. Feels like they threw a dictionary in a blender, worst to best on them. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. But as far as the cryptic lyrics of Mars Volta, I mean, I don't even know if they have like the most cryptic lyrics on the block. I mean, fucking Death Grips lyrics are fucking really cryptic. You know what I mean? I think when your lyrics are really cryptic, I mean, sure, you could try to read into every single line and try to understand what the group or artist is saying, which I think is a worthwhile and an interesting pursuit. But also, I think it's partially about the imagery that the lyrics evoke. You know what I mean? So, if the imagery that the words that they choose evokes like some weird imagery or kind of makes the music sound even more like mystical or strange to your ears, I say mission accomplished. Thoughts on the new Holly Herndon single video? I've not heard it actually. I want to put that let me see over here. I've not heard it. But I don't know. I'll just Holly Herndon Twitter. I'll just probably look it up there. Haven't heard it yet, but I do find her music super intriguing, and I am going to be looking out for that. Come on, man. Here we go. Did I listen to Maury by Bullies? No, I did not. Quelle and Billy Woods are both dropping on the same day. Yeah, I know that's insane. Who do I think is going to have the better LP? Ooh. I haven't heard any of Billy's record yet, so I'm not really sure. So far, Quelle's record is pretty dope as far as like the teaser track. So I don't know. I think it could be Quelle because I mean I don't know if Billy Woods is really going to change up at this point. You know what I mean? He's a super talented guy and I love his style, but Chris seems like he's going in a way different direction on this record, and it could really pay off. And I think if they did a collab LP, that would be amazing. Caught Daughters in Boston on Tuesday. Amazing. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to see them when they come to my area. Thoughts on the new Swimmers album? I haven't heard it, but I've never really been crazy about them. But I don't know. I digress. Or rather, I don't have any further comment past that, I guess. Do I see a larger influence of the Smiths and Joy Division in recent punk? I can't say it. Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a big Joy Division influence on a lot of newer underground rock bands who just kind of want to get washed out in reverb and kind of create a vibe. Yeah, I think there's definitely a big Joy Division influence. Cheers from the Sunny Ugly AZ. Shout out to Arizona and Injury Reserve. I feel like funk metal was wrongly overlooked in the genre. Those bands were forced to write hair metal ballads by executives Living Colour, Faith No More, Mr. Bungle, and even Winger had some bangers. No, that's actually all true. Faith No More was fucking awesome back in the day. Living Colour was fucking awesome too. Mr. Bungle is way more eclectic to just kind of like, categorize as just funk metal, but still like a great band. But yeah, a lot of those like funky rock and metal bands, from your Red Hot Chili Peppers to your Primuses to your Living Colours to your Faith No Mores, are all pretty great. They all came out with great material back in the 90s. And then in the 90s, we were a lot funkier. Have I ever heard of I Am Jake Hill and Josh A? I think I've heard of I Am Jake Hill. I actually think he got recommended in the last live stream, but I didn't get a chance to look at all those recommendations yet. I'll put it on my phone, and hopefully this time around I'll get a chance to peruse. Hey, Melon, love your teeth. Your reviews too, a little bit. Thank you. Anyways, what's my favorite anime? As of right now, I am really like awaiting the new One Punch Man season. And I love Death Note. That's probably another one of my favorite animes as far as like series and everything go. Am I a fan of Steely Dan, says Jeremy Clow. Ow! Mildly. I've never really gotten that deep into the band's catalog outside of like, getting into their stuff to research for other albums and bands and shit. I think their music's fine. I like some smooth yachty rock. Aja and Countdown are some of my favorite albums of all time. Yeah, I'll do my due diligence here and just try to maybe listen to them a bit more, as they do seem to come up a lot these days. What's the best Blur album? Thanks. Jeez, thinking back, what the fuck is the best Blur album? Isn't that the fucking one with the fucking dogs on it that I don't remember anymore because I never like really owned it? Isn't it 13? Isn't that the name of the fucking album? No, that's Park Life. Yeah, I think it's Park Life. I don't know. I'm a fucking dumbass. Yeah. All right, let me see. Bro, you skipped me twice tonight. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to skip anybody, but look, the $5 ones don't stay up for very long, and I apologize. Are you going to review some rap songs again? No, I'm fine with my some rap songs review. Also, you need to go to Veggie Grill when I come to Oregon for some vegan food. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. Going to Veggie Grill, getting some vegan food. Let me see. Thoughts on Harry Mack's new album, Contents Under Pressure? I've not heard it. I have no idea who the hell Harry Mack is. Is that your friend? I really have no idea who that is. Maybe he's actually a famous guy. I really have no clue. Have I heard any of Christine and the Queen's albums? Yes, I have. By art pop standards, I'm not really all that crazy about it. Yeah, no, I do know about the Perfume Genius feature, but still not like really all that nutty about it. And wasn't the last record like way too freaking long? If I remember correctly. Yeah, I don't know. John, thank you very much for your generosity there. Appreciate it. Also, Project X Echo. Hey, Papa, thank you very much. Got that one. Have I heard? Yeah, I got that one. What's a song or album that was kind of ruined for you by a breakup or other bad experience? Fortunately, the last long relationship that I had where the person like turned me on to a lot of groups and stuff, I still enjoy those groups. So yeah, I mean, as much as I love music and I love, I guess, sharing in the musical experience with my significant other, I can't really say I've been in a position where like I've broken up with someone and I can't listen to that band anymore, bro. I can't listen to them. Okay. That was her favorite. I honestly just can't, there were some albums that, my ex loved that I hated, and I couldn't really listen to them or enjoy listening to them when we were together, and I still don't listen to them now. So, but that doesn't really have anything to do with our relationship. But yeah, I can't really say I've been in a position where, you know, a relationship has ruined my feelings on a song or prevent me from enjoying a song or an album. Hey, Papa, thank you again. I've dropped $25 on you to get to get you to see my big question. So Death Grips, Matmos, would it work? I think so, actually. That's actually a really great idea, and I think it would work. That's a good idea. Actually, I take that back. Big Bang Theory is pretty bad. Yeah, it is kind of bad. Favorite sitcom? Please don't say Friends. Arguably worst sitcom. No, like Friends sucks. Like fucking Seinfeld is way fucking better than Friends. Does Curb count as a sitcom? Curb is great. But favorite sitcom? You know, again, love, from back in the day, I loved Seinfeld. I loved Third Rock from the Sun. I loved the Bernie Mac show. When it was on, trying to think of what else, like as far as like 90s and 2000s sitcoms. Does Malcolm in the Middle count? Does it have to be filmed before a live studio audience for it to be a sitcom? But those are some that I loved from back in the day. What's my opinion on all the rock bands coming out of Chicago, like Post Animal, Ron Gallo, Twin Peaks? I'm familiar with all three of those bands, but I don't really care for any of their stuff, and I didn't know they were all from Chicago. I guess it's interesting that they're all from Chicago. Also, check out Grapetooth, great 80-ish synth rock that came out last year. Okay, Grapetooth. I haven't heard of them, but maybe they could wow me. Yep. Big Bang Theory. Thoughts on Doomtree and Dessa? I think they're okay. Maybe their sound and their presentation's a little too pretentious for my ears. Like they think because they're a bit deeper, a bit artsier than the average rapper, like they're somehow better or something. But I don't really get a whole lot out of their stuff, frankly. Listen to A Song for Every Moon by Bruno Major. Yes, Bruno Major got recommended earlier, and I still need to try that. And I'm sorry I didn't get to that from the last live stream. All of the recommendations from the last live stream I haven't gotten through yet. Well, I review Vivid Things by Uncle Adams. Yeah, I thought that song, you know, a lot of the lyrics on that song I thought were super corny, but the beat and the flow were actually really fucking dope. I just wish Uncle Adams had better lyrical content, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that. Ever heard of Mob Psycho 100, made by the same guys that made One Punch Man? No, I have not. And it's really wholesome. That sounds hilarious. I'll try to look into that. Did I see the short film for Some Rap Songs by Earl? No, I did not. I should maybe make some time to do that, but I did not see the short film. I often will avoid, short films and shit because, I don't know. I don't want it to like bias my opinion or whatever, In the case of a music video, I think that's fine, but like a whole short film or whatever. And listen, I think a short film can bias you in a positive way or a negative way. If it's a shitty short film, I remember pretty distinctly when I had my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy review come out, and then I got the backlash where I was like, oh man, did I fuck up here? Like, what's wrong with me? And then I watched the short film because everybody's like, oh, dude, watch the short film, dude. And then when I watched the short film, I kind of walked away from it like, yeah, I was right. But anyway, Alimony Free Cowboy, thank you. Thank you for the generosity. Favorite trip hop album? Probably the favorite, excuse me. Somebody asked me earlier what my favorite Portishead album was, and I said 3. And that's actually probably my favorite trip hop album too. Will, thank you very much. Harry Mack started on YouTube freestyling, that many subs. He went on to Power 106 and got to spit in front of Kendrick Joey. That's pretty cool. Check out his tape. I will. Do I listen to any AWOL Nation or OK Go? AWOL Nation, I've never really gotten into. Don't really care for them all that much. I find their music to be like a little overproduced and just like, I don't know. It's like Imagine Dragons if they weren't a rock band for me. You know, it's just like a lot of fluff and it's a lot of big blockbuster size sounds, but the songs just literally do nothing for me. OK Go, I've always found their music to be kind of bland and plain, and most of their creativity seems to go into their music videos, which is fine. You know, it works for them. But I don't really care for their stuff all that much as far as like listening to it outside of a music video, I guess. What's my favorite song off Alex Cameron's Forced Witness? It might be what is it? True Lies. Is that the song? What the hell is the name of the track? It's embarrassing when I can't even fucking remember the names of songs off of albums that I fucking love. But you know, you guys know how it is. Yeah, True Lies. That's the name of the track. Needed to double look or double check because that is an amazing fucking song. Thoughts on what the new Tame Impala album may sound like? Basing off the recent collabs, honestly, like I would not base it off the recent collabs. You know, while I like Currents, I would hope that they don't do another gimmicky retro synth album. You know, I thought that album was fine for the time, and it was a cool detour and endeavor, but I would love to hear more of the psych elements come back. I don't mind the synths. You know, if the synths hang around in some capacity, that's cool. You know, but I would love more of the you know, retro psych vibes to come back a bit. Best IDM artist, Flying Lotus. Listen to Your Dead when you drop LSD. Maury Bullies. It was Denmark Vesey. Oh, I didn't know that was Denmark Vesey. New track with By Movie Drugs producer. Okay, that sounds interesting. But best IDM, I would either give it to Aphex, Square Pusher, Flylo, or Autechre, honestly. What do I think of the new Twista single tonight? I've not heard the new Twista single, honestly. Haven't heard the new Twista yet. I don't know if anyone has said this yet, but those sunglasses look dapper AF. Have I listened to Skinny Puppy before? And if so, what is my favorite song by them? I used to listen to a little bit of Skinny Puppy back in high school when I was a bit more into the whole goth and industrial thing, and I listened to a lot of nu metal and that sort of thing. But honestly, like I haven't listened to much Skinny Puppy these days. It's been a long time since I've paid attention or listened to any Skinny Puppy. It sort of came and went for me during that time. And not to say that they're not a worthwhile band. They were definitely like leagues better than a lot of the industrial groups that I was listening to at the time, and nu metal groups that I was listening to at the time that were just like really shitty. But honestly, it's like I haven't listened to them in quite a while. Can I get your longest yeah boy? Yeah boy. I probably could have gone longer, but I'm going to stop. As far as Mezzanine by Massive Attack, it's a great record, though I do think some of the production, the vocals are a little rough, but still, it's a trip hop classic. I have never heard of Wet Bandits, although maybe I have. No, I have. I think their stuff is kind of average. I don't really care for it all that much. I just recalled them because I remember the disgust of sort of finding out how uninteresting the band's music was, in my opinion, after sort of digging on the Home Alone reference in their name. Have you ever heard of Piece of Strange by Cunning Linguist? Yes, I have. I have reviewed their music before on the channel, and I do think it's classic. And I don't know if I'm going to do a classic review anytime soon, though, but it is a classic record. Hot take, the Wawa Gamer makes good music. I lost my foreskin and I need it back. Okay, well, good luck getting your foreskin back. I think there's some surgeries where you can kind of like regraft or something. Good luck. Good luck getting your foreskin back. I'm also in that boat. I've been circumcised as well. So I'm shocked that you would say that short film could sway your opinion on the music. You seem to be able to compartmentalize your opinion about music. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I mean, look, here's the thing. Like, I don't know whether or not something is going to bias my opinion for or against something until I've actually experienced it. And then by then it's too late. I have had experiences in the past where, finding out from the horse's mouth, like what a song is about or what it means, or, hearing an artist like shit on their own work or blah, 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 has caused me to maybe think of that work more negatively or positively or something like that. This is the exact same reason why I don't read reviews of albums that I'm about to review before I review the album. You don't know what's going to influence you don't know what's going to influence you until it influences you. You know what I mean? And then sometimes that damage or that effect can't necessarily be undone. So honestly, I'd rather not take the risk. And, not that I won't watch a short film. It's just I probably would take extra care not to watch it before I do the review. If I have the time to after at some point, then I probably will or would. Am I straight edge? Not necessarily part of the scene, but abstain from drugs. Yes, I do abstain from drugs, mostly because I don't really think I have time to do drugs right now. Could I elaborate on why I find Dark Side of the Moon overrated? What are my thoughts on Ben Folds? The first Ben Folds 5 record is a fucking classic and a great piano rock album. And hold on one second. Could I get your shortest yeah boy? Yeah boy. Oh, that one was even faster. Okay, that's my fastest yeah boy. As far as elaborating on the Pink Floyd thing, look, it's not that I think that Dark Side of the Moon is bad, okay? It's just that I think that it is a little overhyped in the context of the rest of the band's discography. I find records like Animals and The Wall to be a bit more gratifying and epic. And, you guys already know, like, To Be Kind, To Pimp a Butterfly. Like, I love big, epic, conceptual fucking albums. You know what I mean? I enjoy that stuff. It's not the only thing I enjoy, but I get a lot out of records like that. I really do. So that's kind of where my tastes lie a little bit already. Favorite Autechre album? Probably like LP4. LP4 is pretty great. Did I listen to NTS Sessions? I have not. What do I think of the music from the anime Cowboy Bebop? Those OSTs, those fucking Cowboy Bebop OSTs, the first two, I don't think there's another one, but the two are amazing. And no, I think there actually is a third, maybe if I remember correctly. It's been a while since like college that I've listened to them, but I know that the first two are fucking great. All those like cinematic, epic sort of jazz tracks are fucking like the best. And I guess I'll leave it at that. I really like Radiohead Bjork's Homogenic, some Massive Attack at Sigur Rós. I guess you probably want to listen to Tricky. You probably want to listen to some Kate Bush. You probably want to listen to some Portishead. Maybe you want to listen to some Nightmares on Wax. Maybe you want to listen to some FKA Twigs. Though all of those artists, are pretty obvious to me. I mean, you should probably already know about all of them, but if you're not, or if you're yet to dive into any of their discographies, please do. Can I mention where I shop for glasses? You've said it 20 times, but I keep forgetting like a dumbass. Well, I shop at a bunch of different places online, but where I have gotten these glasses are Zenni, Zenni.zenni. Just Google Zenni, Zenni. Hey, Melon, I know most people ask you to check out music, but we have a 3-minute film called A Transmission from Oklahoma that will cleanse me. Cleanse me? What if I want to stay dirty? What scores would I... Ow! 20. Ow! What scores would I give all the Creed albums out of 10? I would probably give them a 10 if you took the score of every individual Creed album and added it up. You might get close to a 10, if you added the scores of all the albums up, Hi, Melon. Oh, wait, I got that one. Sup, Fantano. What's your advice for exploring new genres of music that I haven't listened to? I'm trying to expand my musical palette. Honestly, I would recommend going on Rate Your Music and just looking up certain genres, or going on Last FM and looking up certain genres and just assessing what the most popular records in those genres are. Because if an album in a certain genre has found mass appeal, chances are it's probably easy to listen to and easy to get into. It's probably not that tough to listen to. It's the more obscure shit that you got to watch out for. I would either recommend doing that or trying to historically go back and do a little research and find what some of the first albums in the genre are, and then maybe listen to those to kind of get a feel for the genre and then go forward from there. For people who have no fucking clue about metal music, sometimes I just recommend that they go to the earliest stuff and kind of like go forward. Listen to your big Judas Priest records, your, Iron Maiden, Power Slave, your fucking, Black Sabbath debut, that kind of shit, and then kind of go forward from there. Do I ever watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? I have not. So I have no thoughts on the music or anything, but unfortunately that's an anime series I haven't gotten into yet. What's the best King Crimson album and why is it Red? LL, seriously, Court is a close second. Well, I do prefer Court, but if I was to argue in the case of Red, the grooves and the bass, and I think how predictive that album was of a lot of ideas in rock music down the road, are probably all the things that I would bring up to say, well, this I think is the best King Crimson record, but honestly, like, I prefer Court. I actually prefer Lark's Tongues too. I like some of their weird, more kind of noisy avant-garde shit too. There's a lot of good records in the Court discography. I mean in the King Crimson discography. Getting close to 2 hours, burning out. BSSM classic review. Where do I hope to see? Also, where do I hope to see? Which direction next Fleet Foxes album goes to? Similar to HB, experimental like Crack Up. Honestly, I think Fleet Foxes could tone it down on the experimentation just a tad. I do love Crack Up, but I do think a more straightforward set of ballads would be in order. But I guess in theory I wouldn't necessarily mind an even more experimental album than Crack Up. As long as the band's not doing any fucking auto-tune. I would fucking hate to hear Robin's voice in auto-tune. Although there is a side of me that would be intrigued to hear what that sounds like. I'm not sure if it would carry over into a great song. When's that Weezer Worst to Best coming? I actually have to do a little writing on that this weekend, hopefully, if I get some time. I co-wrote it with Austin, and Austin has written a chunk of the blurbs on each album. I still need to write a good chunk of the ones on my side, and as soon as that's done, we will launch it. And hopefully maybe before the month is out. I guess we'll see. As far as more emotional topics in hip-hop, would you say that Kid Cudi influenced artists now more than Drake has? I think that Kid Cudi has a pretty direct influence on things, especially when you're talking about guys like Travis Scott. I would say a great deal of his influence, though, is also indirect, because he did have a direct inspiration on what Kanye did on 808s. And I think that 808s is a huge and sort of like one of those direct influence albums on artists like Drake and so on and so forth. I don't know if Cudi has had more inspiration on Drake than Kanye has. You know what I mean? But as far as like influencing the emotional trajectory of hip hop music, I think it's probably Kanye beating out Cudi a little bit. And let's also keep in mind, even when Drake was doing that shit initially, and I feel like this is something I almost have to remind people of now because it's been so long. When Drake was doing that shit initially, people fucking hated it. Hated him for it. He was perceived as an artist that only appealed to women. he was unmanly, he was a pussy, he cries, he is this, he's that, he's a wimp, he's the other thing. He's the worst, he's trash, he's blah, 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 blah. And now he's the most fucking famous rapper and most successful rapper, period. And the most, respected, because the thing is, even his haters, give him props for the way that he's kind of dominated in the industry. So yeah, you could say that Kanye influenced Drake and everything, but even when Drake was doing what he was doing and getting, releasing his big debut record, it was not necessarily well received by a great deal of the hip hop community. You know what I mean? So even as Drake was, coming into his own, there was still a lot of progress the audience needed to make in order to accept exactly what Drake was doing in his music, So I think that Drake has also himself had an incredible amount of influence on this current sensitivity wave, I guess, that we hear in hip hop. Oh shit, before you go, how did you get that Donkey Kong Country vinyl? I really want one for myself. I think the sales on it are closed. It was a short run bootleg. I shouted out the record label in that video, the vinyl update that I did. You could probably look them up and maybe see if they have more, but it might be down now at this point. What's my opinion on Edan? Interesting underground 2000s rapper with cool psych rock samples. I actually don't think I've gotten into his stuff. I'll have to just put it in my phone. Ow! Fuzzy Dunlop, 45, thank you. 20, thank you. Do I wonder how hip-hop will age? Since the genre obviously prioritizes lyrics and the words are deeply rooted in contemporary slang, how do I think it will age compared to genres as reliant on slang? Honestly, yes, hip-hop is pretty reliant on slang, but look, there's a lot of rock music and pop music that we look upon fondly in the past that, did have a reliance on slang, and we still enjoy it. Look, I think that there's a lot of there was a question somebody threw it in my direction in a Let's Argue segment, or rather a statement, and somebody said 85% of hip hop isn't going to age well because the lyrics suck and blah, 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 and this, that, and the other thing. And look, the case is 85% of everything is not going to fucking age well, because 85% of basically everything as far as art goes is garbage. And that's just the fucking truth. I don't necessarily see hip hop as a special case. You know what I mean? I think there's a good 15% of worthwhile albums that will not necessarily, of 15% of worthwhile albums that will most likely transcend this decade. All those records that suck and that people are going to forget about, even the ones that are popular right now, they're not necessarily going to become obscure because of the slang or whatever. I actually think it's going to depend more, or rather it's going to be influenced more by the fact that these records are so dependent on the trend, the wave that they're currently riding, and will this wave make sense in 20 years? Are people going to be fucking dying to hear rattling hi-hats and blown out sub bass in 20 fucking years? Not necessarily. You know what I mean? And I guess I'll leave it at that. Would I ever consider doing a Sonic Youth worst to best? I do like some Sonic Youth records, and I do think they're an essential noise rock band, and I love what the band has done for post-punk and the exposure of underground music in general, and Thurston Moore's a fucking god. But I don't know if I'm going to do a worst to best on their shit anytime soon. I don't even think I'm well-versed enough in Sonic Youth discog to make that video anytime soon. Thoughts on the album Solid Air by John Martin? I don't think I've heard that album, and my phone fucking died, so I can't put it in my phone right now. But I have not heard that album. Hey, Melanini, that's cute. What was my favorite song that he performed live at the Astroworld concert that I went to? Stargazing was amazing. Fuck the Club Up was awesome. The crowd was super hyped for that. Sicko Mode was obviously off the fucking charts. And Live Butterfly wasn't even that bad, and that's like that's one of my least favorite songs of his. What was another song like really stood out to me? But yeah, like when he introed with Stargazing, it was so fucking awesome. And I guess that Yosemite track live was pretty good. But yeah, it was fucking awesome live. And I've already said that I really loved that he played Antidote, because I do love that record. Classic 2000s R&B records, like, you know, Papa D'Angelo record in there. You know, Lauryn Hill had some, you know, R&B elements on fucking Miseducation. Pop some fucking Destiny's Child in there. All that, you know, Survivor shit and all that stuff. Some early Beyonce. Trying to think of what else. Yeah, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. What are my thoughts on Only Self by Jesus Piece? Why didn't I review it? Because as far as like metalcore goes, I just thought it was pretty generic. I just didn't really have anything to say about it. Like the vocals sounded average, the guitar tone sounded average, the riff sounded average. Just while it was a cool, heavy, you know, badass macho throwback, for the most part, the album to my ears just sounded really nondescript. You know, there wasn't really anything the band was doing that was all that distinct, in my assessment, you know, to the point where I just didn't really have a description for what they were doing outside of like, hey, cool, heavy throwback, you know, 90s metalcore, you know, sounds okay. Hello, my Scorpion brethren. Oh yeah, we are Scorpios. I'm on a mission to listen to great albums from 1997. What albums would I don't know what albums from 1997, like off the top of my freaking head. Jesus Christ. 1997. What albums from 1997 are good? I guess, yeah, OK Computer came out, either or. Oh, Lonesome Crowded West from Modest Mouse is fucking amazing. Highly recommend that record. Also, Homogenic from Bjork. Oh, man, Ladies and Gentlemen, We Are Floating in Space from Spiritualized. Love that fucking album. We and the Mollusk. Looks like Fishman's had an album, but, you know, I've only more recently gotten into their stuff. Mogwai Young Team. That is a great fucking album. Like, you know, fucking mind-blowing aha moment for post-rock. Yeah, I guess those are some decent 1997 records. Oh, Sleater, Can You Dig Me Out? That's a good one. Company Flow, Fun Crusher Plus. That one's pretty fucking awesome. Yeah, I guess those are a handful of 1997 records. Kelly. Favorite Pete and Pete episode? Favorite Pete and Pete episode. One of my favorite Pete and Pete episodes is probably the episode where Big Pete has to study for the history test, and then the other favorite episode of mine is the one when Little Pete tries to break the world record for staying awake. Those are probably my two favorite episodes. Do I have any tips for becoming a music journalist? I can't complain about asking twice because I got to support my man Melon. Don't sleep on that dude who suggested Otoboke Beaver. I did put it in my phone, so I will not be sleeping about it. But as far as like tips for becoming a music journalist, look, guys, as far as becoming a music journalist or like doing what I do, it's kind of fucking rough out there. I mean, your options are as follows. You could take a risk and, you know, sink tons of time into trying to build your own brand, which obviously that's what I did. And that's what I personally, if I was forced into that choice again in, you know, if I was forced into that choice again in 2019, I would probably make that choice again. Although I'm not sure if I would just like automatically hop right onto YouTube. You know, I'd probably be hopping maybe a little bit more onto Instagram. I would maybe be starting like a podcast or something. I'd probably be starting a Patreon or something like that, which I'd actually need to take the time to do personally. You know, I would probably be going about kind of laying the groundwork for it differently than I would have, back in 2009, 2007, you know what I mean? When it made sense to start a music blog, which maybe it still does, try a bunch of different things. Try doing a podcast, try doing videos, try doing Instagram posts, try doing short videos, try doing long videos, just try a bunch of different formats, experiment. You could do that, or you could try to, work for one of these big names in music journalism, and you don't know if your job is going to be there in a few fucking weeks. The Pitchfork just fired their whole art department with no warning whatsoever. And, rumor is that at some point they may go behind a fucking paywall because all of these Condé Nast properties are going to be going behind a paywall soon. So the thing is, like, all these companies are run by huge corporations that don't even pay you all that well anyway. And, and listen, I know people got to make a living. It's if you got to work and make your money that way, you got to work and make your money that way. But, try to at least use your connections in the industry to kind of build your own brand and create something for yourself. Because the thing is, you don't know if any of these jobs are going to be here at any given time, especially with how crappily a lot of these companies are running themselves and how awfully they're promoting themselves. So I guess I recommend just trying to go it on your own, but, don't lose sight of, look, you got to work on the side, man. You got to have a real job, while you kind of pursue this passion. Aaron, nice tea. Thank you. Brother Mellon, you have 1 month to catch up with Game of Thrones. Oh, dude, I'm not going to get into Game of Thrones. I'm just like too late to the fucking game at this point. And Kamasi Washington, Claire de Lune is a perfect first dance song. Do you agree? Yeah, that'd be a good dance song. Be a good first dance song. Would I consider doing a classic Redux on the Smile sessions? Well, I mean, I can't do a Redux review because I haven't done a first review. But maybe I could do some kind of coverage of it, as it is, an interesting album. Maybe not like classic necessarily because, it is the sessions or whatever. It's kind of the album that could have been, you know what I mean? I know it's unfinished, but it sells great music. Yeah, maybe it's worth considering or talking about on the Fantano channel or something. I refuse to recognize CT as part of New England. Well, I mean, it's part of New England whether you recognize it or not, so it's kind of beyond you. Thoughts on Hannibal Buress? I think he's a fun guy. I think he's a funny guy. I have 9 minutes left. I'm getting fucking burnt out here. But yeah, I think he's a funny guy. He had that like Comedy Central show where they had him doing sketches and stuff, and for whatever reason that was not funny. But his stand-up, from what I've seen of it, is very funny. And I love his, inclusion on the Eric Andre show. Why didn't I review the new Me Without You? I think I did talk about it in a Why You Know review. But honestly, I thought there were some pretty cool and aggressive tracks on there, but it just ended up just boring me to tears, like much of their material as of late. I just think Me Without You is in a bit of a rut, unfortunately, and I just don't know why. There's just a lot about their stuff recently that I just find to be very underwhelming and not that interesting. It's kind of unfortunate, but it just kind of is what it is. Excuse me. Investigate 311. I Don't Trust Like That. Reviewing the new Snarky Puppy album. It is on my to-listen list. Right now on my to-listen list, I have Sunkill Moon, Black Dresses, Matmos, Snarky Puppy, Destat, Totaled, Dominique Felice Ame. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. But those are kind of on my to-listen list right now, and I don't know if there's going to be like a big kind of blowout album that drops tomorrow. What is most likely going to end up in... I still need to consider doing the Dave record for a review too. I listened to the Stella Donnelly and I didn't care that much for it. The Geschaffelstein, I didn't care for all that much. Those may end up making it into a Why You Know review and everything. But that's kind of where my feelings are sitting right now. Hi, I'm a Christian. I wanted to say sorry for our terrible music. Don't say sorry for your terrible music because I think there's some really shitty Christian, rock and pop music that's awful. But here's the thing, like there's some really good old timey, like Christian country and folk music that's great. There is some great, like black church gospel shit and, like super old school, like Christian organ music, like the super archaic stuff that's hundreds of years old, is actually kind of beautiful too. So, look, there's some classic Christian hymns that I think are really good and actually lay, when you go back far enough, do lay some of the groundwork, for gospel music, for blues music. So you can't necessarily like totally throw all of Christian music into the garbage. You know what I mean? Yes, again, there is like a lot of crappy Christian rap and Christian pop and Christian rock out there, but it's not necessarily representative of the truly good stuff. And maybe I should do a video about actually good Christian music. Although I'm afraid if I put Christian in a title, am I going to get fucking demonetized on YouTube? I'm literally afraid of that shit. Because what a lot of people don't understand is if you make a video about something that's controversial, on YouTube, and it ends up in the title, and you get demonetized, and you get a yellow sticker or whatever, the likelihood that your next video will be demonetized is greater, because they're going to look over that with like a more fine-tooth comb, and they're gonna be like, oh, we weren't looking before, but now you see that you swore too many times in this video, or you brought up this topic or that topic or the other topic, and it's ridiculous. Not sure if you're into ranking rappers, but since it's up to personal preference, but what do I think Kendrick has a chance of being the GOAT rapper? I think he has a chance of being the GOAT rapper, honestly. I think he needs a couple more classics under his belt before he is, but I think he has a chance. When artists say their product isn't meant for you, therefore your criticism is invalid, is a cheap excuse. Yeah, I think it's a cheap excuse. Look, what's funny is like the artists who usually end up saying that shit are like making pop or pop rap or whatever, like the most accessible fucking shit. Hey, nice Anthony Teeth Tano, what's my favorite Radiohead album? Please don't say OK Computer. Cheers. It's either In Rainbows or OK Computer. It's one of those two. Hi. Am I planning on voting for Bernie in 2020? Yes, I am. There are no other candidates as of right now that I want to see run necessarily. As of right now, I just kind of think the Democratic Party needs the wide field and needs the soul searching and the debate that it is about to have during this primary season. Because as of right now, I sort of see, we have the old guard / the more conservative and corporate wing of the party, which I think going into primary season is going to be represented by Joe Biden, Beto O'Rourke, and Kamala Harris. And then you have more of the grassroots, left-wing, democratic socialist side of the party. You have your Tulsi Gabbard, you have your Elizabeth Warren, and you have your Bernie. Everybody else around, I'm sorry, Yang Gang, everybody else around, in my opinion, is not really that big of a factor as of right now. Sure, they have some good ideas and everything, but, we're still talking about an American election where name recognition is very significant. When it comes to winning these things, sometimes you do have to kind of build up name recognition and momentum before people can really, truly take to you. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people were not really ready for Bernie in 2016, and now all of a sudden he's raised the most money out of any candidate in the field, and for good reason. I think basically the debates going forward are going to be a debate about those two sides of the party. I'm not sure what candidate is going to come out, ahead. I have my preferences, but that's essentially the debate that's going to be happening. Are we going to go more in this direction where we make the rich pay their fair share? Are we going to scale back on all these foreign interventions and wars? Are we going to actually try to shoot for a green New Deal that is going to save the environment? Or are we going to just do more of the same bullshit status quo third way crap that, Clinton and Obama put into position, that Clinton and Obama, implemented, that, gave us Bush and gave us Trump, because that shit doesn't really help anybody's lives. How do I separate Kanye's music versus him as a person? I don't know. I just do. I mean, look, here's the thing about Kanye's music versus him as a person. I think his political positions are horrifically uninformed and obviously influenced by just him wanting attention. And I think that he as a person can be kind of annoying. but none of that shit is a sin. You know what I mean? It's not like Kanye's a fucking baby eater. You know, it's not like Kanye fucking throws puppies off of cliffs. Kanye hasn't really done, to my knowledge, anything that is so awful that it's unforgivable. You know what I mean? I think there are things that you can do that, you know, maybe you should fucking avoid somebody's music. You know what I mean? Or any sort of association with that person or that band. However, I mean, I don't put Kanye in that boat. Yeah, I do think sometimes he can come off kind of dumb. I do think sometimes he is a bit obnoxious, but, you know, honestly, that's not enough for me to make me not want to listen to your music. What do I think of the Struts? They're my most guilty pleasure. I've not really gotten that deep into their music, honestly, so I cannot comment. Anthony Fantano 2020, thank you, Jacob. I will put that right into my campaign funds. Do I think Cal would collaborate with you? Also, have I heard of Copyright? I think I have. I love the track Nardwar's Cousin, have worked with Royce as well. That sounds interesting, but I think I have heard of that guy's music. I don't know if Cal would collaborate with you. You'd have to tweet Cal a track that you've done or an instrumental and maybe try to garner some interest that way or something. When are we getting classic reviews for Freestyle Fellowship's Inner City? Oh, wow. That would be an interesting classic review, though I don't think I would end up doing it anytime soon, though Gorilla's Demon Days is probably a more likely candidate. Do I think Cal with... Yeah, I got that one. Do I like the Grateful Dead? No, I don't personally. Not that I think their stuff is trash, but a lot of that jam bandy shit, whether you're talking about the Grateful Dead, whether you're talking about Fish and that sort of thing, I've never really cared for it all that much. But you know, I don't know. I guess it's just not... I'm not going to say it's not for me, but... and if I have said that, I want to take that back. I guess I haven't really seen the appeal in it so far, and I guess I haven't heard enough of it for it to like really blow me away, you know, and sort of like spark more of an interest in it, I guess. A haiku, 7 out of 10, damn. Melon among melons, rattling hi-hats. That's a good one. I feel at peace now. I hype for Ventura. What do I want from the album? Also, am I hyped for Yandi? I'm definitely hyped for Yandi. I'm unaware of the fucking Ventura thing. Oh wait, is this the Anderson .Paak shit? Is that the title of the shit? Let me see. Yeah, that's gonna be the Anderson .Paak shit. Yeah, I am kind of hyped for that shit. It would be interesting to see him go in a more soul-driven direction. So I am looking forward to that. Pete's dad was right that the worst music is polka, and it's the only genre I've never found a song within that I like. Now, I actually think some polka is really fun. There's this band called Like a Laishet from Finland, and they do like weird polka covers of a variety of like different popular songs, and they sort of like make the lyrics all weird and shit. And they're actually kind of a little punked out in their delivery and in their attitude. And yeah, I actually think they're kind of a cool band, and I think polka qualifies as kind of fun music. So I don't dislike polka in general or anything. All right, guys, I have to head out. I'm sorry for anybody's question that I missed, but you can hit me up, anthony@theneedledrop.com. That is my email. If I missed your question, send me like a screen grab, or what the question was, and I will be able to get to it there, hopefully, if I'm not sort of clogged up on the email side. Couch Potato is a pretty decent track off of that record. I do like the extra instrumentation he loaded into that track. It's actually really good. Please reply to me on Grindr. You wish I was on Grindr, bitch. All right, guys. You're the best. I'll see you in the next video. Check out the Little Sims review. Do not miss it. It's an amazing, amazing, amazing fucking album. Favorite Zeppelin might be 3 or 4. And I will leave it at that. What a beautiful face I found in this place. Those are some good lyrics. You should record them on an album. I just realized he will actually be old enough to be president in 2020. Will I? Will I be old enough to be president in 2020? That's exciting. So I'm starting my candidacy today, running for president today. See you guys on the campaign trail bitch. Forever.